Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Real Life ClickDimensions Product Scenarios for Sales Success. My name is Erin Hannaford and I am joined by Kevin Miller today. During today's webinar, Kevin is going to highlight a number of different sales scenarios as a follow-up to last week's ClickDimensions partner webinar on leveraging the value of native to win deals. I will put the link to the recording of last week's webinar in the chat if you were unable to join us last week but would like to watch that recording and understand that content. This two-part series was split to last week cover how to leverage the messaging and talk tracks and materials that ClickDimensions provides to help you as partners differentiate ClickDimensions from other marketing automation vendors. And today's part focuses on real-life demo scenarios within the ClickDimensions product that highlights those differentiators around the value of being a natively integrated marketing automation solution. We are recording today's webinar and we'll share the recording after the webinar with all of you. We've saved time for Q&A at the end. The question and chat functionality is open and available throughout the webinar, so please don't hesitate to post your questions in there. If I can answer them during the webinar, I will. Otherwise, we'll save them for the end. With that, I will turn it over to Kevin.
All right, and thanks, Erin. And hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining today. And we're going to cover some various scenarios and integrations that I think would be of great interest to you guys. And so we have native Dynamics 365 sales integrations. And one area that I would like to cover and demo today are ClickDimensions web content, both forms and surveys, and some of the various native integrations related to those, related to actions around when forms and surveys have been posted. We'll also cover the various integrations around ClickDimensions campaign automations, also cover Dynamics 365 campaigns, and lastly, leads and contact touch points. And again, if you guys have any questions or things to cover, things that maybe I didn't explain fully, feel free to use the chat functionality and I will do my best to answer the questions or get back to you with a better response, assuming I can't formulate one today. So with that said, I will hop right into the ClickDimensions web content. And again, this covers both forms and surveys. And if you're not aware, ClickDimensions has recently launched a new survey editor, which is a great tool for things like product responses or any sort of information follow-ups, surveys, that type of thing. Forms are more utilized where you can map fields directly into Dynamics 365. So either a contact us form or a sign up form or various things like that. Both of these actions that I will cover today related to them cover both forms and surveys. And so there are various touch points into Dynamics 365, interactions into Dynamics 365 directly from the product. And those involve Dynamics 365 campaign responses, follow-up emails, adding users to a marketing list, removing participants or users from marketing lists, as well as team notifications and email notifications. And with that said, I will click over to the actual survey editor. As you can see here, this is our new survey editor. If you haven't checked this out, this is a little side note, not related completely to this presentation, but I would strongly suggest checking out the editor. It's a really nice tool, has a lot of nice question components here, multiple pages, really nice logic built into it. It's a really nice editor for creating surveys and tests and things like that. But the one area that I would like to cover today is if you look at the top right, there's an actions button. And if I click here, these are actions that would happen once a survey or a web content form is submitted. And you'll see here, you have all these various actions. And all of these are direct integrations into Dynamics 365. You again can do a campaign response. You could even do a follow-up here. And this is really designed so that users, without having to build a workflow or a Power Automate or to have some sort of back-end process to involve, even the technical team or a, Dynamics 365 admin, to be able to create these kind of mini follow-up, nurture, post-action types of scenarios. And you'll see here that you can definitely have multiple components here. You're able to drag and drop in between here if you want to even, there's lookups directly into Dynamics 365. So as you can see here, we're going to look up the records here. This is coming directly from Dynamics 365 again. So you're going to have the ability for each one of these steps, users without any involving technical resources, involving any sort of system admins to integrate with a Power App or a workflow. These are directly out of the box components that are pre-configured, ready to go. And you see here, you can do a lot of different things here. You could have some really complex kind of action strings if you look at it as kind of a flat line as where a user, what you want the user once they posted the survey or the web form to be able to do. Everything again from, again, an email notification. You have all of these options again out of the box ready to go once a survey or a form has been submitted. Again, it's really easy. You can add components, delete them. Each one is going to integrate directly into Dynamics 365 core functionality from directly within either the survey or the web content editor. And so now I'll click back over into the presentation, and the next thing that I would like to cover are campaign automations. And there are various built-in triggers and actions in campaign automations that will give non-technical users, again, the ability to create marketing journeys that directly integrate with Dynamics 365 functionality. So you have various triggers, and these are things that really will start the campaign automation. They will get a participant down a path, either a negative or positive path. You have various, Dynamics 365 functionality built right into these triggers, everything from when a participant or a potential participant is added to a marketing list or when they've removed from a marketing list. These are really nice tools. We actually, utilize marketing lists in a lot of different ways, not only as a traditional marketing list, but I like to describe them almost as buckets. They're just basically buckets of users that either need to follow a certain action, either when they're added to a list or removed from a list. So you don't even have to use a marketing list in the traditional concept of what you would think of as a marketing list. I mean, you definitely could do that, of course, but you could also use these as just like holding bins or buckets for specific users. You can even, and this is a really nice feature that was added to campaign automation fairly recently, that when a Dynamics 365 field at either a contact or lead level is updated, you could actually then put a lead or contact down a specific campaign automation as a trigger. You could even manually add a contact or lead to a campaign automation. So maybe you have a flow where you have users that are interacting with contacts and leads, and maybe take for instance a lead, once they reach a certain step, you could have a user actually add that contact or lead to this campaign automation. And then once they're added, you then have lots of different actions here that you can perform once a user's been added to a campaign automation. You can add them to a list, you could remove from a list, you could update a field in Dynamics 365, which I think is a really powerful feature. You could assign owners, assign teams, notify users, create task activities, fire off in even a Dynamics 365 workflow. So if you have maybe, or if your customer has a a really complex back office process that either a contact or lead needs to follow that's outside of the scope of the campaign automation. Maybe it's interacting with opportunities, maybe interacting with accounts. You could actually, via campaign automation, actually fire off a Dynamics 365 workflow directly from a campaign automation. Again, you can notify a team or even have a campaign response. And I will click over just to show you guys some examples of this. If we look here, this is a pretty straightforward campaign automation, and you see here the triggers at the right in the cranberry circles. You'll see that there are various triggers, both ClickDimensions functionality as well as Dynamics 365 functionality. So you have everything from submitted a form, submitted a subscription, survey, an email interaction. You also have added to lists, removed from lists. These are marketing lists. Again, these are things that could happen within Dynamics 365. So when a contact or lead reaches a certain, certain step in, they would actually would be considered a trigger, and that would start that contact or lead down this campaign automation. Again, field updates, which I think is a really nice one. You also have, again, some more core ClickDimensions functionality around registering for event, attending event, page ads, social clicks, and then you again have your manual ad. And then if you look down at the various actions, and if we look at this campaign automation, this is really triggered on when a Dynamics 365 field is updated. So if I click on this specific trigger, you'll see to the right here, I'm actually able to select first if I want to target a contact or lead here. And then once I select that, I can actually select the field that I want to listen for sake of a better term, to trigger this campaign automation. And you'll notice a really nice feature here is that any custom fields at a contact or lead level are also suspect for being triggers for that. You'll see here that we have various custom fields here. There's a core Dynamics 365 fields as well. So you could have a field within a contact or lead record. When it's updated, it could be updated manually, it could updated through a business process, a workflow, or a Power Automate. Once that field is updated, they're going to be on this campaign automation. And once they get on this campaign automation, of course, you have all of these different actions that are directly integrated into Dynamics 365. Everything from adding this user to a marketing list, which I think is a really nice feature and we see get used a lot. It's a common scenario. Someone fills out a form, maybe even there's a decision node built into the campaign automation where if they select a certain field, they get added to specific marketing lists. Of course, if you click on this, you would select the marketing list. And again, that's coming directly from Dynamics 365. You could then update a field within the contact or lead record so that maybe, based on this path, maybe you wanted to then go and update their record within Dynamics 365, then maybe you want to assign a Dynamics 365 owner, notify a user, create a task activity within Dynamics 365, even again, run a workflow, which I think again is a really nice feature. If there are, back office processes, again, workflows that are, complex, that kind of go outside of what you would consider your traditional marketing touches, you could totally do this within the campaign automation, just selecting here. You would do a lookup. This is going to look up your workflows here. You would select the one, and then that would put the user into that workflow. You could even do then a campaign response here. And really with campaign automation, this is giving a non-technical user, similar to what we did with web contents and surveys, the series of actions that you saw a few minutes ago. You're really giving a non-technical kind of not even a citizen coder, but someone a nice canvas, drag and drop canvas to be able to go through and start to integrate directly within Dynamics 365 per the ClickDimensions tools via the campaign automation editor window. You're able to do a lot of specific tasks. And not only just the core Dynamics 365 tasks, of course, you have, the ClickDimensions kind of activities, actions as well, sending an email, sending an SMS, you also have those options as well. So you could not only integrate directly within Dynamics 365, but you could also then integrate also with some of the core ClickDimensions functionality as well. And so with that, we'll go back here, and another nice area here are Dynamics 365 campaigns. And of course, these are the core Dynamics 365 campaign tables, entities, and marketers from here can easily budget and report on all marketing automation components linked to a Dynamics 365 campaign. And you'll notice all of these various components here, everything from campaign automation, bulk text messages, email templates, events, event participation, form captures, page views, posted forms, sent emails, social clicks, social posts, text messages, visits, web content, surveys, landing pages, and forms can all be assigned to a Dynamics 365 campaign. And this is a really nice way for marketers and for you to be able to tell a full marketing story around the various ClickDimensions components. And if I click here into Dynamics 365, you'll see here that we have a campaign. And we have a view here that has some of the core Dynamics 365 components all listed as subgrids on this form. You can have activities, but then you can also have all of the various ClickDimensions marketing automation components. Everything from bulk text messages, campaign automations, any sent emails, any event participations, form captures, even page views, posted forms, posted subscriptions, posted surveys, sent emails, all of this information, even social clicks and text messages, all of this is going to roll up into this one specific campaign that we're looking at here. And at one glance, a marketer is going to be able to see, with this view, all of the various touch points that that your marketing journey has performed and has reached out to various contacts and leads, all in one view. All the various components here, you're going to be able to see, related to this campaign, what page views were generated from this, that were linked to this campaign, if there were any events, any event participations going on, maybe all your campaign automations that you have running that are linked to this campaign. You're going to have all of this information, in one view here to see all of the various ClickDimensions components, that the marketing automation components that are grouped under this campaign. And we highly encourage marketers to utilize campaigns. It's a nice way, again, to go even to look at campaign reporting, so that you can see your various email performance. You can build graphs and charts around this. You could even see any opportunities, core Dynamics 365 components, opportunities related to the campaigns. Then you of course are going to have your marketing touches. Even you're going to have a good summary here, so that these are core, of course, Dynamics 365 components, where you're going to have your your calendar information, proposed start and end dates, actual start and end dates, recognitions of budgeting, your expected responses. So all of the ClickDimensions components give the ability really easily and directly to relate to a Dynamics 365 campaign. And so with that, one other really nice area, somewhat related to campaigns, is that at a lead or contact level, you're going to have full Dynamics 365 visibility into these leads and contacts and their related marketing touches. And really a nice thing about this, especially related to leads, is that regardless of the sales funnel stage, you're going to have views of that, and users are going to have views at, again, a lead or contact level, however they're touching. If they're involved in any sort of campaign automations, maybe they're in a complex automation and they're going down positive paths, and there's wait timers, and you've got waits or timers around. You're going to be able to see at a lead or contact level what actual individual leads and contacts or contacts are part of campaign automation, any that have received bulk text messages, even emails, events, event participation, form captures, page views, even posted forms, any sent emails that that were sent out to a lead or contact, any social clicks, social posts. You've got your text messages, visits. Again, you have your web content, surveys, landing pages, and forms. A good example here is, looking here, you'll notice here that Ben Wyatt, for example, is a lead. He's at the very first stage of this lead to opportunity sales process. But regardless of the stage that Ben is at, even this is a pre-qualified stage, users are going to be able to see, did Ben get sent any emails? Did he click on any of his emails? Does he belong to any marketing lists? Maybe he unsubscribed to specific things, what pages he visited, what page views, any posted forms that Ben may have met, in the fields and the responses. So if he filled out a form and here's all the various fields that he did there, any social clicks, any event participations around posted surveys, even the survey answers to any text messages that Ben was sent. And this is a really powerful tool if you're reaching out to organizations that maybe have a large BDR department. I mean, think about a BDR that is maybe first reaching out to a newly entered lead, a newly created lead. This BDR is going to be able to go in and at one glance be able to see, what are the various ways that Ben has already been touched, via the marketing activities. Maybe he submitted a form that got him into Dynamics 365. This BDR could go in and say, well, all right, has he visited any pages? We're going to automatically convert any of his page views, even if he clicked around on the website before he was an actually recognized and created lead. We're going to convert those visits and those page views into recognize that they're linked to Ben Wyatt's lead here. You're going to be able to see all of that. So a BDR is a really powerful, I think, feature and tool, and a really nice, compelling story around, regardless of the lead stage or any sort of unique contact kind of approaches, you're going to be able to see any user directly within Dynamics 365 is going to be able to see all of these various, what I'm calling marketing touches, but these are all the various ways that the ClickDimensions components all relate to this one record, either a lead or a contact within Dynamics 365. And so I know I've said a lot. am more than happy to take any questions, comments, anything via the chat that would, further solidify these stories, maybe ideas that you have. I mean, feel free to speak up.
Thanks, Kevin. That was great. We had a couple questions come in, so I'll just reiterate that we did record this session and we will send that back out. And then, Kevin, we've got a question around what is the difference between page visits and page views?
So a page visit is going to be when a user, again, either recognized, meaning the system has already recognized this user as either a contact or lead, either they clicked on an email or they submitted a form that got entered into Dynamics 365. And we're also going to convert any of their visits before we recognize them from anonymous into qualified. So a page visit is going to be, it's a little bit confusing, but a page visit, the way I look at it, is more like, you're coming to a page once, and then maybe you go to that page 5 different times. Those would be, individual views all rolled up into what would be considered a visit. And I think there's some documentation around that too that I could send out if anybody wants to go a little bit deeper into that as well.
Okay. We've got another questions about the update field trigger that you spoke of. asking if there's any conditional criteria, meaning can you define what the value is and then create actions according to the value of that field?
You actually can, and I can attempt to demo that. Let me go back to my campaign automation here. So what you could do is there could be a conditional logic, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to show this super well here, but you're able to do that to a certain degree. It's not going to give you probably exactly what you want. I know this is something, and the campaign automation editor and the functionality around campaign automation editor, we have almost a dedicated product manager and a team that is constantly rolling out new updates to campaign automation. And I know one area around that is going to be some of the conditional logic around that. Right now, you're pretty much going to be if it's fired, if it actually triggers or not. And to get into the actual conditions, it really gets kind of confusing because you can have multiple fields that could potentially be updated, everything from a text field to a drop down. And some of that logic is on the it's on our radar in terms of the product team to add additional functionality. But right now, you're pretty much going to be limited to that. Now, there is the ability, of course, to have a form where you can do the more proper conditional logic based on that. And I could dig through some documentation to see if there's more to add to that I could send out if anybody has specific questions or wants to dig deeper into that. I mean, you can feel free to reach out to me directly or through your territory channel manager, and we can dig down to some specific needs around that and how best to address that.
Great, thanks, Kevin. I think we have someone that will take you up on that offer, so I will connect you after we finish out today's webinar.
Awesome, looking forward to that.
And it looks like there aren't any other questions coming in. So with that, I will thank everyone for joining us today, and be on the lookout for an email with the recording to the webinar. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.